Indiana Fever beat the Connecticut Sun. That's not really the story here. They won 85-77. That's not the story here, man. Look, I'm pissed. I'm pissed, bro. Yo, these refs are trash, bro. Caitlin Clark done got hurt again. The groin again, bro. Like, oh my God. Man, I'm so tired of it.
It was the body check seen round the world, and it just happened again. In what is becoming a disturbingly familiar sight, Caitlin Clark, the generational talent single-handedly rewriting the WNBA's future, was sent sprawling by a hard, borderline illegal hit. The internet predictably erupted in a firestorm of outrage, with fans and critics alike questioning if the referees were officiating a basketball game or a demolition derby. Was this just aggressive defense, or was it something more targeted, a symptom of a league that seems both desperate for her stardom and resentful of it? As the queen of the Logo 3 clutched her ankle, a chilling thought settled over the sports world. The league's brightest star, the main event for the upcoming All-Star weekend, might just have been benched by a combination of bad luck and even worse officiating. And you can bet that somewhere, rival players like Angel Reese are scrolling through the chaos, perhaps with a smirk and a carefully chosen emoji, as the entire narrative of the season hangs in the balance. We're about to dissect what really went down, who truly bears the blame, and why the league's golden goose is being treated like a piata.
Stephanie White, congratulations. Amber Cox, way to go. Kelly Krauskopf, you did it, girl. You really did it. Way to rush Caitlin Clark back from injury time after time after time after time. To the point where she's tearing and crying on the court because she felt something in her groin. You three ladies couldn't manage a kid's lemonade stand.
The entire WNBA is currently operating just one awkward landing, one rolled ankle, one poorly timed shove away from a full-blown, extinction-level event. That might sound like hyperbole, but it is the terrifying reality of a league that has placed all of its chips on a single 22-year-old from Iowa. For years, the league has been searching for a spark, and now that they have a supernova, they seem utterly unprepared for its intensity. It's all just part of the game and physical basketball until the one-player driving ticket sales, TV ratings, and national relevance is seen limping off the court, her face a mask of pain and frustration. Only then does everyone in the front office, the commentators, the fans who secretly enjoyed the rough play collectively gasp and clutch their pearls, suddenly pretending they weren't just egging on a gladiator match disguised as a professional sporting event. The hypocrisy is staggering, as the very people who benefit from her presence seem content to watch her get battered, only showing concern when their investment is visibly damaged.
Well, this game had a little bit of everything, but if I had one word to describe all of it, it would be painful. All right, painful. And this was painful. In case you guys did not notice, because Caitlin Clark was struggling at times, especially with her shot. Now, she was grabbing rebounds, getting assists when Stephanie White wasn't pulling her out of the game. I mean, she's never going to get a rhythm if she keeps getting nonsense.
Don't get it twisted. Caitlin Clark isn't just bringing in a few new fans. She is the entire ecosystem right now. She represents the sold-out arenas, the record-shattering television ratings, the merchandise that vanishes from shelves in minutes, and the endless, drama-filled storylines that have finally propelled the league into mainstream sports conversations. She is the popcorn, the main event, and the money-back guarantee all rolled into one unstoppable force. So, when she gets shoved into the third row by a defender while a referee seems to be meticulously studying the arena's rafters, you can almost hear the collective heartbeat of the entire league headquarters skip a beat. Yet, instead of safeguarding this billion-dollar asset with the fierce protection she deserves, the league has adopted a bizarre, hands-off approach. They are allowing her to be thrown around the court like it is Monday Night Raw, And she is the unsuspecting hero who forgot that in this storyline, there are no rules and no one is coming to save her.
Growing. I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know what's going on anymore, guys.
Looks like she's in pain after that pass.
Bro, she looked like, bro, she was in tears. She was in tears, y'all. Like in tears. Like it's like she knows that this is a real serious thing, man. This sucks.
This entire situation is just agonizing to watch, a slow motion train wreck that everyone saw coming. And so, here we find ourselves once more, another game, another questionable injury, another moment where Caitlin Clark is grimacing on the sideline while a nation of new fans, who only just learned the Indiana Fever existed, holds its breath. Let us be brutally honest for a moment. This isn't just about a simple bump or a minor bruise that will heal in a few days. This is a much larger, more damning story about a league that was gifted a literal gold mine and showed up to excavate it with a flimsy plastic shovel. The fact that Caitlin Clark is consistently playing nearly 38 minutes a night, carrying the offensive and defensive load under relentless physical pressure, isn't a sign of her toughness, it's a sign of gross mismanagement. It feels less like a game plan and more like a hostage situation, where her presence on the court is the only ransom that keeps the team, and by extension the league, from fading into irrelevance.
Caitlin Clark re-injures her groin. I really do feel sorry for this kid, man, because she didn't put all of this pressure on him. Y'all did. You know, the shit that I don't like is you had a lot of content creators talking about, oh, I don't think she's injured. I don't know what's wrong with her because she's definitely not injured. Because obviously they don't know what it's like to have a groin injury. And I'm not going to go into detail of what it's like as a ball player to have a groin injury. I already made a video on that. You should go check it out. I was afraid that this was going to happen. That injury probably started off being right between a grade 1 and a grade 2.
In a league that understood asset management, Caitlin Clark would be handled with the utmost care, her minutes meticulously managed to ensure long-term health over short-term victories. She would be the centerpiece of offensive schemes designed to get her open looks, without her having to fight through a gauntlet of elbows and knees on every single possession. She should, metaphorically, be wrapped in bubble wrap between quarters and flanked by Secret Service agents during timeouts. But that is not her reality. Instead, she has been left to fend for herself in a brutal free-for-all, battling not just opposing players, but also a brand of officiating that seems to have left its whistles back in the locker room. And because of this systemic failure, the once unthinkable idea of her sitting out for an extended period, perhaps even the rest of the season, is no longer a dramatic overreaction. It is a calculated, strategic, and frankly, logical consideration. In fact, removing herself from the line of fire might be the single most intelligent business decision Caitlin Clark could possibly make for her career and her future. By stepping away, she would be forcing the WNBA to confront a terrifying reality it has so far been able to ignore. If the league and its officials refuse to protect their most valuable asset, then perhaps the asset needs to protect herself. It would be a power move of epic proportions, sending a clear, undeniable message that her health and longevity are not disposable commodities to be sacrificed for a few extra ticket sales in the short term. It's not about quitting or being soft. It's about shifting the balance of power and reminding everyone from the commissioner down to the last fan in the nosebleeds who truly holds the leverage in this relationship. Because if the WNBA wanted a sobering preview of what life looks like without its crown jewel, it might just get its wish sooner than it thinks.
Clark has an injury in the preseason. You rush her back to put on a show in Iowa. Oh, great. Good job. You sit her the rest of the preseason. She plays in the regular season. She injures her quad again, re-injures her quad again. You guys sit her. DeWanna Bonner takes your money and runs. You guys are panicking. Oh my God, what are we gonna do? Let's bring Caitlin Clark back, quick from injury, again. Oh, great job. Stephanie White in her brilliance. Oh, there's only 40 seconds left in the Seattle Storm game. Sweet. Caitlin, get in there. Oh, now we injure our groin. Oh, great job. You guys are really crushing it this year.
And what would that preview look like? It would be a deafening silence. It would be the return of half-empty arenas, the abrupt end of sold-out road games, and a TV ratings chart that suddenly performs a catastrophic nosedive. When Caitlin Clark is on the court, the sports world buzzes. The viral clips, the crossover media coverage, the explosive growth in jersey sales, and the entire sparkle of the All-Star weekend are all directly tethered to her presence. If she goes, all of that goes with her. The league would instantly revert to its pre-Clark state of niche interest, a product fighting for scraps of attention in a crowded sports landscape. The vibrant, chaotic, must-see energy would vanish, replaced by the quiet hum of a league that briefly touched the sun and then fell back to earth. You might as well start engraving the tombstone now, renaming the league the WNBA, a study in what could have been. This entire firestorm isn't just about petty drama or manufactured controversy. It's about the cold, hard reality of value. Caitlin Clark represents a level of commercial and cultural value that the WNBA has never seen before, and that kind of an asset shouldn't be risking a career-altering injury by diving for a loose ball while an opponent swings an elbow with reckless abandon. All the while, the league's commissioner has been delivering a masterclass in corporate non-speak, filling press conferences with hollow platitudes about growth, empowerment, and league parity. But these feel-good speeches ring hollow when the actual product on the court shows the league's most important player leaking star power like a waterbed that has been dropped in a cactus patch. If protecting your generational talent feels like an optional afterthought rather than the #1 priority, then perhaps the league itself needs to take a seat on the bench and seriously reflect on its baffling and self-destructive priorities.
If Stephanie White keeps doing this to Caitlin Clark, she's going to ask for a trade. Eventually. There's no way around it. You can tell she's unhappy. It's not, whatever it is Stephanie White is doing is not working for Caitlin Clark. But at this point, when I say the word painful, this is where we're going to start. This is potentially a disaster for the city of Indianapolis, the Indiana Fever. They're hosting the All-Star game. We just found out Caitlin Clark was going to be in the three-point contest. And this is her right here. You can see her. Let me turn this down. She's grabbing that groin, folks.
And let's not even pretend the officiating has been anything other than a complete and utter disaster. The referees in the WNBA have been allowing defenders to treat Caitlin Clark like a tackling dummy in an NFL training camp. In one game, she's getting hip-checked into the Gatorade cooler with no call. In the next, she's being illegally screened and held by players who aren't even involved in the play, all while the whistle remains blissfully silent. Pundits and coaches dismiss it as just welcome to the pros' physicality, but if defenders were any more hands-on, they'd be legally required to start paying her rent. Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever coaching staff seems to be managing her minutes like they are trying to max out a factory-timed card, desperate for immediate wins. They've become so fixated on squeezing out every last drop of her talent that they've seemingly forgotten the fundamental reason people are tuning in. It isn't to admire the team's defensive rotations. It's to watch Caitlin Clark do things with a basketball that look less like a sport and more like a magic show with a competitive mean streak. The visible strain we're seeing from Caitlin isn't just about a sore ankle or a bruised hip. It is the physical manifestation of a profound and crushing exhaustion that is simultaneously emotional, physical, and spiritual. The responsibility of carrying an entire league on your shoulders while simultaneously being the lightning rod for every single criticism, jealousy, and debate surrounding it has to be the most thankless and draining job in all of professional sports. It is a burden that no 22-year-old, no matter how talented, should be expected to bear alone, especially when the very infrastructure that is supposed to support her seems to be actively working against her.
I just want to say the refereeing in the WNBA has to be fixed. This is something that has been a problem since Caitlyn stepped in the league, and I already know it's been a problem before she got to the league. But the league is clearly shown time and time again that they are not ready for Caitlyn Clark's stardom. They're not ready for the crowd she brings. They're not ready for the revenue she brings. This girl is supposed to be at a CBA meeting in about 2 days. And the fact that she gets injured and 40 seconds to go in a meaningless game against a bottom-feeding Connecticut Sun team, it gets to a point where it's like somebody has to step in.
She's trapped in a completely unwinnable paradox, a daily trial by fire where the goalposts are constantly being moved. If she drops 30 points on high efficiency, she's a selfish bull hog who doesn't trust her teammates. If she focuses on distribution and racks up 10 assists, she's playing scared and shying away from the big moments. If she gets knocked to the floor by an aggressive foul, she's dismissed as soft and unable to handle the physicality of the pros. But if she stands up for herself and shows a flash of frustration, she's immediately branded as arrogant, a poor sport, and a diva. Despite these impossible standards, she still showed up every single night. She sold out arenas, shattered viewership records, made global headlines, and absorbed every elbow, all while forcing a smile for the cameras. All the while, her own teammates were fumbling wide-open layups, the referees were apparently enjoying a mid-game nap, and the league office was busy posting inspirational tweets instead of enforcing its own rulebook. The glaring truth is that Caitlyn Clark is the show, and without her, the quiet panic is already palpable in the league's PR offices as the entire enterprise teeters on the brink of a silent, empty drain. There is a deeply, tragically poetic nature to this entire unfolding saga. The WNBA desperately prayed for a transcendent star who could deliver them growth, relevance, and a mainstream audience, and their prayers were answered in the form of one singular, phenomenal player. But in a stunning display of institutional malpractice, instead of building a protective fortress around their newfound treasure, they simply let her get battered and bruised, all while muttering excuses about maintaining league balance and competitive integrity. Here's a hard truth: nobody tunes in on a Tuesday night to watch balance. They tune in to witness greatness, to see the impossible become possible. And if that greatness is forced to sit on the sidelines with an ice pack on her ankle because the league was too short-sighted to protect her, then what really is the point of watching at all? This was a once-in-a-generation opportunity, a golden ticket to a new era of prosperity, and the league has fumbled it like a greased-up football. Caitlyn never needed the WNBA. The WNBA desperately needed Caitlyn. Let her rest, let her heal, and let the league feel the crushing, silent weight of her absence. Maybe then, the next time they are gifted a star, they'll remember that stars burn out when you treat them like disposable afterthoughts.
So let's be realistic. I want Caitlyn Clark to play. You want Caitlyn Clark to play. Everybody wants Caitlyn Clark to play. And while she was out, we were all crying for Caitlyn Clark to come back. We are fans of basketball, and fans of basketball like to see good players play basketball. So obviously, we all wanted her to be back because the Fever are better when she's out there. Today, she was plus 21 on the court. When Erin McDonald was in place of Caitlyn Clark, she was -9. Caitlyn Clark had the best plus-minus on the court, even while she shot it bad from the field. Now, she did show up in that fourth quarter, and she was the reason why the Fever were able to get the win. They were looking terrible for the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter where Caitlyn Clark wasn't in the game, and then she comes in and they look 10 times.
At some point, even the most brilliant and resilient light will begin to flicker when it's placed in a room that seems determined to remain in darkness. Caitlyn Clark arrived in the WNBA carrying a spotlight bright enough to illuminate the entire sport, but in return, the league handed her a broken microphone and a rickety folding chair. Her profound love for the game has never been in doubt. She lives and breathes basketball, likely dreaming in complex offensive sets and pick-and-roll scenarios. But somewhere between the unprecedented height and the relentless, uncalled hip checks, she seems to be internalizing a bone-deep, soul-level disappointment. Passion alone isn't enough to save a product that appears to be actively resisting its own salvation. She looks tired, but it's a different kind of tired, of the kind where even lacing up your sneakers for another game feels like a form of deeply unappreciated emotional labor. You can see it etched on her face in those quiet moments on the bench. The look in her eyes isn't focused, it's numb. The stare isn't locked in on the game, it's checked out, gazing into the distance as if she's realizing, in real time, that the very thing she dedicated her life to is a leaking lifeboat. And no matter how many half-court swishes she hits, she can't patch a foundation that seems to be made of little more than dust and wishful thinking. She's playing a game on two fronts every single night. On the court, she's battling opposing guards, but off the court, she's constantly defending herself against a system that seems to have thrown her into a wood chipper while calling it a golden opportunity. The league desperately wanted a messiah, a singular figure to lead them to the promised land of profitability and relevance. But when they finally got one, their brilliant plan was to strap her to the very front of the train and then act surprised when she got hit by all the debris. This isn't just a case of being unfair, it's a form of slow-motion cruelty, a public spectacle of watching a phenomenal talent get worn down by the sheer weight of unreasonable expectations. And the most heartbreaking part is that everyone can see it now. She's not delusional, she sees the writing on the wall, she notices the empty seats in arenas that don't magically fill up unless her name is on the marquee, and she understands the precariousness of it all. She's still doing the interviews, still smiling for the cameras, but the smile looks like it's been hastily photoshopped onto her soul. Her post-game press conferences have started to feel less like sports analysis and more like hostage letters, carefully worded and delivered under duress, written in post-game sweat and exhaustion. You can see that she is trying, with every fiber of her being, to uphold her end of the bargain. She is trying to be the leader, the scorer, the playmaker, and the ambassador that everyone demands her to be. But the effort is becoming more and more transparent, the strain more and more visible with each passing game.
Brutal. That's all you can say, and the look on Caitlin Clark's face said it all. After she clearly tweaked her groin in the Fever win over the Connecticut Sun in what has been an injury-riddled season for Clark. And whether it was pain or frustration or a combination of both, you could see it weighing on her. Now, she had snapped at a referee earlier. She had held her head down in the midst of her shooting slump. So maybe some of this is just all of that coming to a head, especially knowing that All-Star Weekend is coming up from Indianapolis.
It forces us to ask a deeply uncomfortable question that applies far beyond the world of sports. What do you do when the very thing you love most in the world becomes the primary source of your exhaustion and disillusionment? What happens when your lifelong passion slowly morphs into a grueling performance art staged for a demanding crowd that seems to crave more evidence of your bruises than your brilliance? That is the precipice upon which Caitlin Clark now stands, and it's a lonely and terrifying place to be. The part that truly stings, the real kicker in this whole saga, is that Caitlin Clark is a born competitor. She is built for the fight. Her entire career, from high school to her record-shattering run at Iowa, has been a relentless war against doubt, against preconceived ceilings for women's sports, and against every cynical gatekeeper who claimed that a player like her couldn't sell out arenas and command national attention. And she won. She won again and again and again, proving them all wrong in spectacular fashion. But even the most resilient warrior can only fight so many unwinnable battles before they begin to question if the war itself is worth the cost. You can't out-hustle a broken system, and you can't outshoot biased officiating. And that is precisely what we are witnessing now. It is not a loss of skill or a decline in talent. It is a visible erosion of faith. Not a loss of faith in her own abilities, but a loss of faith in the very idea that the system around her is capable of, or even interested in, real, meaningful change. This is no longer just about basketball. This is about the immense burden of being asked to carry the legacy of a league you didn't break, to rebuild a system you didn't ruin, and to smile through the wreckage while being systematically elbowed in the ribs. She was never going to say any of this out loud, of course. She is far too classy, too composed, and too well-trained in the ancient art of delivering media-safe, non-controversial answers.
Clark's brother had to step out himself and post. Make no mistake about this. This is on the record. This was a post and delete, of course, but the fact that her brother, and you know, when you're a sibling of a star, especially like Caitlin Clark or any professional athlete, you're not supposed to go on the internet and post things like this. But because Colin, do you know how much it took for Colin to put all that to the side and say, you know what, I don't care, they're gonna hear about this, because Caitlin will never go out and say this. It's on the record. She's getting hacked. She's getting abused. People are landing in her foul space. Aaliyah Boss ain't got.
But her demeanor on the court and on the sidelines is now screaming the truth for her. She looks like someone who feels the ceiling slowly closing in, like the one responsible person trying to hold a dysfunctional family together while everyone else is busy bickering over who gets the last dinner roll. And for what exactly? So that some league executive can slap her face on another billboard and have the audacity to call it progress. It is profoundly sad to watch, not because she is failing as a player by every conceivable metric she is thriving, but because she is succeeding against all odds, and it's asterisk, still asterisk, not enough to fix the fundamental rot that exists just beneath the sneakers of every player in the league. That is the ultimate tragedy here. Watching someone so clearly built for greatness being dragged down into mediocrity by an ecosystem that can't seem to decide if it wants to elevate her or erase her. This was never how the story was supposed to go. Caitlin Clark was brought into this league to be the hero, the conqueror. She was supposed to answer for the league's decades of neglect, not by explaining it, but by obliterating it with her talent and star power. She wasn't supposed to feel defeated by the league. She was supposed to defeat the very notion that the league couldn't be a premier sports entity. She was supposed to win. That's what she does. That's her brand. That's the very essence of what made the entire world fall in love with her game in the first place. She is a winner who makes winning look like an art form.
To see her injured, but if she's not ready, don't play her, because this is not just Caitlin Clark right now and the people unsatisfied with watching the WNBA without her right now. This is about the future of this league. It is total incompetence, the highest level of incompetence, to put Caitlin Clark out there and have her play against the dirty refs and the dirty players, both of them, because the players are grabbing her and the refs won't calling. They are playing very hard basketball against Caitlin Clark. It is not wise to have her play if she's not 100%. And I was really irritated in a live watch party today about the minutes we've been playing Caitlin Clark. I heard she was on a minutes restriction. They want to keep her under 30 minutes, right? But why would you play her in 4-minute stretches? Why play her 4 minutes and then sit her for 5 minutes and then play her for 4 minutes?
But that's not where we are. Instead, we are here watching her single-handedly carry a team, a franchise, and an entire professional sports league on her 22-year-old shoulders. And yet, she is still being told she's not doing enough. She is still being pushed, shoved, and targeted as if her very existence and the bright spotlight she commands is the problem rather than the long-awaited solution. So if she finally decides to step back, to take a break, or to walk away to protect her own sanity and physical well-being, could anyone with a conscience possibly blame her? Not when the evidence is so painfully obvious that the weight has become unbearable. Not when she has given every ounce of what she has, only for the return on her investment to be a highlight reel of bruises, and a deafening silence from the very people who are paid to protect her.
But nonetheless, just a rough sight to see, especially, Caitlin Clark struggles shooting and the Fever still win the game because of her impact on the game, her gravity on the game. She closed it out. She draws the attention way beyond the three-point line, which sets up her teammates. But she has not been right all season, and that sight is not a good one for her, for the Fever, or of course for anyone around the WNBA, because it's difficult to see Clark holding back tears in that moment.
There is absolutely no joy in watching someone so uniquely gifted begin to question the value of their own gift. There is no satisfaction to be found in seeing a beautiful dream turn sour right before our eyes. But maybe, just maybe, this painful chapter is the brutally necessary wake-up call the WNBA needs to hear. Because if Caitlin Clark, the undisputed, once-in-a-lifetime unicorn of the sport, can't stay inspired and protected within this system, then what does that truly say about the state of the game for everyone else? It says everything that needs to be said, and frankly, she's been screaming it at the top of her lungs without ever having to say a single word. What do you think is the path forward for her and the league? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you want to stay on top of stories like this, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click that notification bell so you don't miss what's next.